Hey everybody, it's Megan again. Welcome back to TYP. I have another little advice video that I wanted to share with you today. Hopefully it's a little shorter. So somebody asked me if I had any advice for somebody newly diagnosed with an advanced illness or with cancer in general, or a disease in general, something that they're going to have to surmount that seems like an Everest in front of them. What advice would I give to somebody? And I don't think I got into this a ton in my diagnosis story, but I don't think I did things the right way. I don't want to spend a lot of time on the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, because we could do that until we're blue in the face, and it doesn't change our present. But I have learned some things from my experience, and I've gotten some advice from people much wiser and much, more educated in these areas than I. And I thought I would pass some of that along. And as always, if you have advice, tips, tricks to share with me, share on any of our platforms here, or email me at terminalyetpurposeful@gmail.com. I will be very, very happy to share that advice. Thank you. So some advice I have when you're newly diagnosed with an illness and it seems very insurmountable. I've used this phrasing before, but especially being diagnosed with an advanced illness is essentially somebody just threw a bomb in the middle of your life, and that bomb went off. It exploded, and your life exploded into a million pieces. And your life, as you know it before that moment, feels like it ceases to exist, right? And now you are left trying to figure out how to put some of those pieces back together, how to make a new life for yourself moving forward, and how to adapt. And this is extraordinarily overwhelming, especially at first. When you're newly diagnosed, it seems impossible. And you have so much going on, and your head is so full, and it feels like you just can't deal with anything else. I mean, I've been there. I know exactly it. And you just have to take a breath. You really do. You have to be a little bit calculated. You can't make tons of rash decisions right away. You can't. You do have to figure some stuff out, unfortunately. So my first piece of advice is just to take a moment, evaluate how you want to see your path moving forward. If you want to take the path moving forward. And ideally what you want, or what you think you want your life to look like when you start putting those pieces back together. My second piece of advice is to get a second opinion. Get a third opinion if you need it. But my boss who I work with, I have a very, very supportive boss, a very, very supportive work environment, thank God. And I know not a lot of people are in that situation. But I was really, really lucky to have a good support system at work when I was diagnosed. And they hooked me up with one of their family members who was an oncology nurse at MD Anderson down in Texas, which is a really, really, really big deal. And she called me, this nurse at MD Anderson, and gave me some of her best advice. And the thing I remember the most was, you've just been diagnosed with this illness. And a lot of times people are going to be like, this is a zebra. This is a zebra. How are we going to deal with this zebra at the farm? There's a zebra on this farm. How are we going to deal with it? When what you really want is, this isn't a zebra. This is a horse. This is a horse on a farm, and this is how we handle horses on the farm. And that seems so silly, but it's so true. So go see somebody that specializes in your illness is essentially what that means. I had what I thought was a very rare cancer, that I had to Google. I didn't know what a bile duct was. I didn't know bile duct cancer was a thing. And the scientific term for it is cholangiocarcinoma. I couldn't even say that or spell that at first, let alone explain what it was. And a lot of times I would call people and tell them I had bile duct cancer, and they'd be like, oh, whoa, that's something different. That's a new one. You don't want that. You don't want your doctor to be shocked that you have this illness. You want to go see somebody that has seen this illness and has seen it several times. You want somebody that sees that zebra as a horse and knows exactly how to treat it. Because this isn't something new and different. Somebody has had this before. And how did they deal with it? What did they learn from that person? And let's take that and move forward from it. So always get a second opinion and get a third if you need one. Get a fourth if you need it. But keep searching until you find what's right for you. Till you find the team that's right for you, until you get some answers. My next piece of advice, and I've said this in other blogs, is listen to the nurses. So your doctor, your oncologist, whoever you're seeing is the expert on what you're going through. But the nurses are who you're going to be spending most of your time with at the hospital and when you're getting treated. And they know the ins and outs of everything. And they have a lot of practical knowledge that can be really, really useful. So do what your nurse tells you to do. If your nurse tells you to drink water, drink water. Okay? If your nurse tells you that you should get a port, get a port. Don't follow my advice. Follow your nurse's advice, please. But nurses are down there on the ground making sure that you're going to be healthy and happy and can live the longest, best life that you can. So listen to your nurses. Another one, I kind of just piggybacked on this with their second opinion, is be comfortable with your care team. This is something I didn't do right away. I was with a care team, and I had some previously to this one. Red flags would pop up here and there, and things would happen, and I wasn't entirely comfortable with it. And I shouldn't have let it go. Find a care team that you're comfortable with. Find somebody that you like. Because really, your doctor could be, your doctor is in charge of keeping you alive. A good doctor, having a good doctor, being comfortable with your doctor and telling your doctor all the important things that are happening to you can be a life and death decision. So find a care team that you're comfortable with. And when things start to happen, when you have complications, find somebody that you're not going to be embarrassed telling them about. Like, if you have rectal bleeding, don't be embarrassed to tell your doctor about that. Find a care team. Find if it's nurses on that group, palliative care support or something like that. Be comfortable with who's treating you and be comfortable in the fact that they're doing a good job and you think that they have your best interest at heart. And if you don't think that, find somebody that does. There's lots of hospitals, lots of care teams out there. So if you're not comfortable, boots to the floor, find somebody else. Seriously, and be comfortable with them. Don't be afraid to interview doctors either. Seriously, ask a lot of questions. You're your best advocate. Okay. Next piece of advice is bring somebody with you to your appointments. Especially at first. when you're first newly diagnosed, like your head is just so jam packed full of what's happening to me. You're trying to figure out how to piece your life back together. You are. Just, it's so easy to be distracted and to be overwhelmed with what they're telling you. I would go into doctor's appointments and be like, oh, I'm going to ask them this. And I had lists of things I wanted to, ask in my head. And the appointment would just blow by and you'd be like, what happened? Did I get any answers to any of my questions? That's the good part about bringing somebody with you. Bring somebody with you who could take notes, who can help you, who can be there to shove you and be like, hey, didn't you want to ask about this? It's really important. And with COVID, sometimes things are hard. So if you're not allowed to bring somebody to an appointment with you, I recommend maybe taping it on your phone, writing your questions down to make sure that the important things can be asked. Because, sometimes it's hard to pay attention and it's really easy to forget. And especially if you're getting chemotherapy, chemo brain is real. It really is. It really is. You can become really forgetful. Yeah. So try and bring somebody with you if you can. If you can't, see if you can record. If that's not your jam, write down your questions, bring a notepad and paper with you. Just, do whatever you can to get good answers and to get your questions answered. Next one I have is get a good support system. A lot of times, well, first of all, everybody's different. But when I was first diagnosed, I didn't necessarily mean to do this, but I just could not bear the idea of picking up the phone and calling all of my friends and all of my family members and telling them that this happened to me. So I just decided to put it on Facebook and I told everybody. I don't regret that at all. But that really showed me who was going to be there to support me. Because of that action and because I let people in, a support system kind of emerged for me. And you kind of figure out really quickly who's up for the task, like who's going to stick around and can handle it. And who can't. Not everybody's equipped to handle it. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person. They're just at their bandwidth, And sometimes that's okay, and it's a little sad. But hopefully for you, you get that same feeling that if you share your story with people or you start to tell people, hopefully you also see that happening, a support system building around you organically. Because it's very, very important. Because another piece of advice is to stay positive. And everybody's going to tell you that. And I will tell you, it is really, 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 really hard sometimes to stay positive. And you're not going to do it 100% of the time. It's impossible. It really is. So lean on your support system. They can help out. They really can. They can keep you in a great headspace because positivity works. Staying positive is really what's going to get you through this. Really. It's what's going to, hopefully extend your life and get more life out of what you have left, right? And I was bad at this. I was really, really bad at this. So with my support system, people come to you and they're like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And I was just so overwhelmed at that time. And my head was just so full of what the heck am I going to do? That I just had no idea. I had no idea what to tell people. But if you can think of things like, can you bring dinner over for me like twice a month or something like that? Or can you drive me to the pharmacy? Are you available at this time to take me to the doctors? Can you come to a doctor's appointment with me? People want to help you, but they don't know how to help you. They don't. So if you have something specific, people can do, and you tell them that, 9 times out of 10, they will jump at that opportunity to help you because they genuinely want to. They just don't know the right way to do it. And maybe you don't know the right way to do it, and that's okay. But if something pops up, be like, ugh, I'm too sick to drive, and I really need to go to the pharmacy and pick up this, this, and this. Don't be afraid to reach out to somebody in your support system and ask. And 9 times out of 10, somebody's going to be ready, willing, and able to do it for you. And they're going to be really happy that they were able to help you. So if somebody asks for support and you have something very specific that they can do, go for it. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to use your support system and ask for help. Another piece of advice, and I've said this so many times, but really educate yourself and advocate for yourself. If something doesn't feel right, don't let it go. Get all of your questions answered when you go to the doctor. If you have something pop up, a complication, if something's happening to you and you don't know if it's normal or not, don't be afraid to call your doctor or your nurses or your support team and ask if it's okay. Most of the time, everything's probably going to be fine, but, you just never know. So no one's going to advocate for you more than you are going to advocate for yourself. So be forward, be confident. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to be a pain in the butt. And ask a lot of questions. Educate yourself on what's happening to you if you're in the right headspace for it. Because a lot of times Googling cancer, Googling, terminal illnesses, Googling incurable things is not a great way to spend your night because it often leads to spirals of worst case scenarios. So if you're not in the correct headspace for it, then don't do it. But if there's a way that you can educate yourself as much as possible, or if you can lean on support groups, or people that have gone through that experience and suck up some of their knowledge, go for it. Educate yourself because you don't know what you don't know, and be your own best advocate. Other piece of advice is to get a therapist. And I've said this so many times. For a lot of people, this is the worst thing that could ever happen to somebody. This is your worst case scenario. Somebody dropped a bomb in the middle of your life, it went off, and you have to pick up the pieces. And that's traumatic. And it's hard. And having a trained, licensed professional in your corner that can walk you through some of that and help you deal with some of those emotions, because they're going to be a roller coaster. They really are. That can be really helpful for a lot of people. So get a therapist. If you're in a cancer center like I am I'm at Fox Chase Cancer Center in Philadelphia. I love it. If you're worried that your insurance isn't going to cover therapy or something like that, some places like Fox Chase offer, they have certain programs that are basically free to patients. So if you're having a hard time, or you need somebody to talk to, or you have some stuff to work through, ask your cancer center, ask your hospital. A lot of times these places have some support for their patients, that could be low cost or free to you. So I highly recommend it. Therapy is awesome. It's really, really helpful. And, my last piece of advice to piggyback on that is to also get yourself a nutritionist. Same vein as therapist. My insurance does not cover a nutritionist, but one is offered to me through my program. And they're really busy, the nutrition program. But when I was first diagnosed, I wasn't able to eat hardly anything. I lost a lot of weight really quickly. I was going through cancer cachexia, which some people might know about. Some, symptoms of what happens when you're diagnosed with cancer. It's like a muscle wasting and muscle weakness and loss of appetite. And in my case, I had liver failure. I was in liver failure, and I had, a bunch of tumors preventing me from properly digesting food, and I could not eat. And I thought I was wasting away and dying. And I got hooked up with the right nutritionist, who made the world of difference and who gave me the strength to help me fight this disease a little bit, to help knock it back and have some more years left. So I am ever, ever grateful for that nutritionist who brought me back. So if you can, nutrition is absolutely key when you're fighting an illness. You need to be strong. You need to be as healthy as you possibly can, given your scenario. So once again, look into a nutritionist. If you have a center, if your treatment facility offers supportive services, like psychiatry, psychology, therapy, social workers, nutritionists, stuff like that, look into that, because a lot of times there's a lot of things that you have access to. If you just uncover a little bit, if you just dig a little bit, ask around, because get yourself a nutritionist if you can get it. If your insurance covers it or it's offered for free or low cost, it can really help. And that's it. And, once again, when I was diagnosed, I didn't do this the right way. So I'm sure I'm missing a lot. If you have anything to share, share on any of our platforms below, or email me, terminally@purposeful@gmail.com. And I would love to hear your advice, your tips, your tricks, and I would love to share them as well. So thank you once again, and we'll see you again soon. Bye, everybody.